Hi, Scorpio, and welcome to your February 2024 horoscope. Even though February is a shorter month, it is not lacking any action. Almost all of the planets are involved in one way or another. So even if you're somebody that's more influenced by Mars or by Venus or by Neptune, almost all of us are going to be feeling some type of way in February. There's going to be some intense days, but that's all right. We're all in it together. Let's get into what you can expect a little bit more day to day in the month ahead. On February 6th, Venus is squaring the nodes and the Sun is trining and sextiling them. The nodal story for everybody for another year or so is teaching all of us to set boundaries, to stop compromising on things that we actually don't want to compromise on. But on this day, especially, your ego might be loving all the boundaries you're setting. It might be extra excessive with setting boundaries, even where they might not need to be set. But at the same time, your relationships are reminding you that you're human on this earth, that you need connection, and that you cannot exist without others. And sometimes relationships require compromise. So it's an interesting way to start off the month with trying to find a balance between the two. There's a lot happening a day later on the 7th of February. And now we're including Uranus and Neptune in the conversation. So the Sun is squaring Uranus, Venus is trining Uranus, and Mars is sextiling Neptune. Because Mars is in your third house, there might be some actions that you're taking in your local community. Perhaps you're doing something with your neighbors or with your siblings. And these actions might feel really aligned. They might feel really sort of inspired from above. And they might really feel like they're helping you in getting where you want to go. To others that are not so close to you, these actions might seem a bit weird, a bit out of the box, very unique and strange. We are talking about Uranus after all. But just remember that those close to you, those that know you, see this uniqueness, see this strangeness, and they know that these actions are beautiful because they're in line with you, and also because they allow you to express your unique self as well. On the 9th of February, we have a new moon in Aquarius in your 4th house. Pluto just entered your 4th house on January 21st. So for the next 20 years, you're learning how to find your power with your family and your home. Take a look at what happened on January 20th or 21st that perhaps was quite emotional, quite intense, because this new moon will allow you to take a fresh start in that area. If there was anything on January 21st that you wished you'd done differently or that you wished happened in a different way, then this new moon is a great time to do that. On February 12th, Venus in your 3rd house is sextiling Neptune in your 5th house. You just went through a lot of lessons in your 3rd house, a lot of lessons surrounding your local community, your neighbors, your siblings, around the way you communicate with those close to you. And now that sort of Venus and Mars are also about to leave the 3rd house and enter a new domain, it's almost as if you finally understand. Venus is sextiling with Neptune, so it feels like this understanding is a sort of divine understanding. You finally understand the bigger picture. You finally understand the spiritual lessons of everything you've gone through and why you had to go through it. You understand that perhaps the difficult things are actually beautiful after all. On the 13th of February, Mars enters your fourth house, or the sign of Aquarius. And right as it does that, it conjuncts Pluto. Mars and Pluto together can result in a lot of action, a lot of energy. It may actually cause some people to burn out because they just have so much energy and they keep going, going, going. But also, another way that you could express this energy is just directing it into things that don't really matter, focusing on petty things or things that are not meaningful in the long term. So wherever you're directing your energy to on this day, I do recommend that you reflect, you zoom out for a moment, and you see if the energy you're spending is being spent on things that are actually important to you. Just a couple of days later, on the 16th of February, Venus also enters your fourth house and conjuncts Pluto. So your familial relationships might be quite triggering on this day. And I mean, like, families can be triggering for all of us, like majority of the time. So don't fret. Keep in mind that Pluto just entered your fourth house. So you have years to integrate the lessons, to come to terms with what Pluto is trying to teach you. I would recommend on this day just to observe, to be kind and loving to yourself. And once things feel a little bit less emotional, a little bit more stable, then you can take some time to reflect on what has occurred and what the lessons are trying to teach you. On the 19th of February, the Sun enters Pisces, or your fifth house. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and in March, we're actually going to start sort of a new year according to astrology, because we're going to start fresh in the zodiac with Aries. So I would say from February 19th onwards to look at it as if it is December. It's the last month of the year. And take some time to reflect on what you want to let go of for the upcoming year. And specifically for you, Scorpios, take a look at what you want to let go of in regards to your self-expression and creativity. Are there any hobbies that you want to let go of? Is there anything that has held you back from really expressing yourself that you also don't want to do anymore? On February 21st, Mars and Venus are conjunct in your fourth house. So they entered your fourth house, they each sort of hit Pluto on the way in, and now finally they've caught up together in your fourth house. This can also be quite an emotional day. Mars is determination, Venus is passion. So it might feel like quite an intense day again with something surrounding your home or your family. And it might also trigger the same type of issues that were coming up earlier in the month when each of those planets was hitting Pluto on their way into your fourth house. On the 24th of February, there's a full moon in Virgo in your 10th house. And during this full moon, Venus squares Jupiter. So the sun is shining a bright light on your career and giving you some type of insight over something that you had some unclarity around, especially in your career. You might feel like a sense of relief once you understand a little bit better. You might feel like, you can take a breath, you can celebrate, you can do some more fun things now. One thing to just keep in mind is that Venus is square Jupiter, which can actually show possibilities of like overextending yourself or overindulging. So just be aware of that and keep that in mind during this day. A couple of days later, on the 26th of February, Mars also squares Jupiter. So Mars is the planet of action, Jupiter is the planet of optimism, and when they meet together, it can mean being very optimistic over our actions, even though some of them might not be the best idea. And because Mars is in your fourth house, this could especially be some actions you want to take regards to your family or your home. And I'm all for it. My one recommendation would just be to wait a couple of days. See if the idea still seems just as optimistic and amazing. And then if it does, go full steam ahead. On the 28th of February, the Sun is conjunct Saturn in your 5th house. Saturn has been in your 5th house since last year of March 2023. And it has probably been putting a damper on your self-expression. It might have been a bit more difficult for you to have fun, to let go, to be playful. Perhaps the responsibilities of the future are putting a damper on you. Perhaps you've been having to reconsider your hobbies and which hobbies are actually maybe a bit childish and not serving you anymore. And now that the Sun is conjunct Saturn, this day, those responsibilities might feel quite heavy and like they're really putting a damper on you. And it might be a day where you feel a bit more pessimistic about it as well. I want you to keep in mind that even though Saturn can feel like there's no end in sight, no light at the end of the tunnel, what Saturn wants at the end of the day is for us to keep showing up. To keep showing up day by day and to do the work every day as well. We close off the month on the 29th of February with the same way we started it, with a conversation between Venus and the nodes. This time, Venus is trining and sextiling the nodes. It's almost as if we allowed ourselves that lesson at the beginning of the month. We integrated the things that we were learning, all of the things that Venus and the nodes were trying to teach us. That we end off the month with a sort of understanding and realization that actually setting boundaries can lead to deeper and more meaningful relationships. So overall, Scorpio, there are some things happening around your family and around your home. I'm interested if you're watching this. Let me know in the comments what's up there. Is it something exciting? Perhaps maybe not so much. But you also have quite a bit happening around your self-expression and around having fun and enjoying life while you're here as well. So it's quite interesting to have both of these themes going on at the same time, for sure. I'm really curious. If you have any comments to share on your personal experience, I'd love to hear from you below. What's been happening and how you've been approaching it and dealing with it. I hope you enjoyed this horoscope. I hope it helps give you some comfort for the month ahead. And if you want to make sure you catch the March horoscope, then make sure you subscribe. I hope to see you again soon.